What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record. Why? Because it gets the points off your record. That's the move, right? If you get a ticket, do not plead guilty. I was just at Pebble Beach weekend up in Monterey, Car Week, and they issued something like 300 tickets in the city of Monterey in a week. All of those people need to call Off the Record, because pleading guilty, you're just going straight head first, full throttle into the system, right? There's the ticket itself, then there's the insurance premium. It's going to just go up and up for years. They're going to keep up with you, you guys. Off the Record is money. You don't plead guilty. You sign up for Off the Record, send them your ticket. They then assign an attorney in the jurisdiction you got that ticket to fight it on your behalf. You don't have to go to court. You don't have to do anything. You chill, and then they call you and they say, "Congratulations, Mr. Farah. Those points are off your record." It's a money-back guarantee. They have an unbelievable success rate, but if for some reason they can't get those points off your record, you don't pay. Go to offtherecord.com/TST or use code TST10 on the Off the Record app. That's offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the Off the Record app. And man, they got you covered. We love Off the Record. I get emails all the time that you guys love Off the Record too. So let's keep that momentum going. Don't plead guilty. Get Off the Record at offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the Off the Record app. Okay, today is a cruise show. Zach and I are in the studio. We recorded this one before I went to Pebble Beach. So if things that we say are like a week and a half old, so be it. Zach went off in the woods camping with his family. That's what he does. He deserves his break. He's a hardworking man. I went to Car Week, and we'll talk about those things on our next show. But this one, I don't even remember what we talked about because I've had a lot of adventures since then. So it'll be a surprise to us both together. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. What's up, everybody? I'm sweaty again. Went to PT. And
You don't look sweaty.
I don't? Good. The red shirt is not good when you're sweaty. That really shows it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't wear gray. From like 16 to 25, I just decided to sweat all the time.
Yeah.
Aggressively.
I still do.
So.
the Viore shirts, they help a lot.
So
but
good.
Sweatiness is a thing. In between sweats. I got another sweat coming up after this. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys are we gonna put this show, are we gonna delay of game this? Like, have you already done the work to get this week's shows up?
Yes.
Okay. So this show is
Next
not
Thursday.
going to be current events. This show, we're going to talk about some things that might seem like they happened a long time ago, but that's just the way it works.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Icon Bronco video went up this morning, which for you fuckers listening now that aren't live patrons, it'll be last week. Really think you should go watch it. That page needs a refreshing. And it's a very good video. It's a very good truck. Icon builds the best shit.
So they build amazing stuff.
There's a real interesting discrepancy between the Instagram comments on this post and the YouTube comments. We know there's a little different audiences there, but the Instagram comments are like, Icon is amazing, John is amazing, the guy's so interesting, you really understand where the work and the detail goes into this truck. And on YouTube, it was like, another fucking $300,000 thing nobody can afford. That's as much as a house in other places in the country. Farah's out of touch talking about $300,000 like it's nothing, and real discrepancy there.
I don't think we said it like it was nothing, because $300,000 is not nothing.
I said multiple times that it was a ton of money.
Yeah.
But I think because the video says why it's worth it is the title. Why it's worth it. And when you say something that most people can't afford is worth it, I think that could somehow seem unrelatable. And I think
because it's a very relative term, I guess.
It's a relative term, but you're trying to get a catchy title in.
Right.
You got to get them to stop when they're scrolling.
Well, we're also not the first people to say that a very expensive vehicle is worth the price. That's like
right.
Singer, any hypercar, like so many car journalists will be like, when you experience this, you got to think, okay, if I'm buying this, this is worth it.
And it's also based on at least my and your experience with other. Is the thing happening again?
No, it's fine. They said I'm a little quiet.
Okay. It's based on our experience with other Broncos and trucks and resto mods that cost just as much and aren't worth it.
Right.
Like, that's the comparison. It's not like you should buy this truck and, yeah, it's like 3 years' salary for most people and maybe more, but like, oh, it's fucking worth it because it's beautiful and it's nice. It's like, it's really like, almost all resto modded trucks built by big name shops ultimately cost this much. Mm-hmm. But the execution on this, from the fit and finish to the way it drives to the completeness of it, is so much better than the rest of what is out there.
Yes.
That's what makes it worth it.
Right.
I'm not saying that if you don't have $300,000 to blow on this thing that you fucking are a nobody. And I'm not saying that, like, and certainly people listening to this podcast understand my attitude on the very, very rich fucking hoovering up all the fucking good shit, you know? I get it. And we're not trying to be snobby about it. But, like, in the context of resto modded trucks, all of which are deep in the six figures, this one, at least you're getting what you're actually paying for. You're getting what you're expecting.
Yeah, like we talked to John about how, like, they 3D scan the truck, they laser scan things. They almost, something he's been doing since the beginning is trying to re-engineer the vehicle as best he can. And it's similar to how Art Morrison would re-engineer a chassis for an old car. So John's been doing that with, like, body panels and then, like, every switch you touch, trying to take, okay, what does it look like? But what if we made everything of the highest quality? And in some cases, you know, the stuff he's done with, like, the coating he talked about, it's protecting the Bronco against itself, because the stock versions rust in all these weird places because there's all these crazy gaps in the metal and this weird, like, flat metal that was used to, like, weld it together, and it leaves all this space. Like, they try to fix a lot of that stuff. So I think that's what's impressive about Icon and all the things they've done, and this included, is, like, this thing in stock form had so many problems. Yeah. And like we've talked about, it's expensive to unshitbox a shitbox.
It's real expensive. So it's really hard too.
Yeah. It's like
money alone will not solve this problem.
Exactly.
You need engineering, you need aesthetic creativity, you need an obsessive drive to find materials. Not just, like, in the literal sense for the interior, but, like, the materials that are being used to coat the metal, just all that kind of stuff. It results in, like, the idea that we filmed this on a canyon road is completely ridiculous in the context of most resto modded Broncos that are totally not at home on a canyon road. The steering will be bad, the brakes will be bad. There'll be weird body roll. There'll be really weird geometries where if you got to turn the wheel a lot to get it to initially change course, but then the geometries will change, right, and it'll do all kinds of fucking weird shit. I mean, one thing to pay attention to in the video, when you look at the in-car shot of you or I driving, is how little steering corrections we're making. You know, if we go through a corner, we're inputting and then we're opening. But then in the parts where we're going straight, we're not adjusting. Yeah. It's you just point it straight at, like, pointing it straight and having it go straight. Larry Chen is calling right now. Pointing it straight and having it go straight is like that's something that sounds. It's like, yeah, no fucking no shit.
Not
dude.
in an old car. In an old car, that was not a common thing.
Particularly a Bronco, like. I referred to a lot of other Broncos that I've driven as, like, vehicles most likely to crash into a row of parked cars. Like, I've driven regular, like, a bunch of resto mod Broncos just down regular streets and felt like going straight was really a challenge. Yeah. Whereas this one, it seems so simple. Go straight when you want to go straight. But that's like way easier said than done in these things.
I can't remember if I left it in the video or if I cut it out for time, but something I noticed and commented on was you can move the steering wheel like 2 millimeters to the left or right off of center.
Yeah.
And at first I thought it was slop because it was so easy to do. And then I paid attention and realized that the truck was actually changing course. So the steering is really tight. It's not difficult.
Whatever they do with that steering
accurate.
box, it's the same unit or a version of the same unit that they do in the FJs, and it's just such a game changer. Nobody else is doing it, and it makes the thing so easy to drive. Whatever they've done with the steering and the brakes makes it really, really easy to drive. And it's not sporty, but it just makes it do the thing you want it to do, which is much easier said than done. And hearing John, talk about it so passionately and shit that he blows off as being like not even worth talking about anymore is like actually pretty interesting stuff.
I love listening to that guy talk.
Yeah.
Like I could listen to him talk for 5 hours straight. Actually,
well, and you
it
had
kind
to.
of was.
You
on the
had
shoot.
to because you had to edit his interview.
Well, no, but when he hung out with us for the on the shoot for this day and talked my ear off while you were driving and vice versa. But like, he's so into all of it and he pays so much attention to just like material science that's out there and the little details. And I think he doesn't come across as a salesman because then you try the thing and it delivers on all those promises. And it seems like it's coming from a place of genuine care for like not just the product, but the person using it. He's like, I don't want you to have a bad time because that's not what I would want to experience in it.
Yeah, it seems like he's a person with a very high level of like no tolerance or a very low level of tolerance for bullshit. And the trucks are built in a way that like he doesn't want to drive it with this fucking plastic thing, and he's not going to make it in plastic just because it's cheaper. He's going to make it how he's going to make it, and either you're in or you're out.
Right.
Which I like, and that's a pretty bold thing to do. Not everybody can be successful doing that. It's a tough. The first time he built an FJ or a Bronco and said, "This is $300,000 and it's worth it." That must have been very difficult.
Yeah.
Like that's a challenging thing. But I don't mean it because I am some out of touch rich guy. Obviously in certain things I do have expensive taste, and okay, fine, I'll own that. But like, when I say that, I mean it as in comparison to other pro touring or resto modded trucks. This is a next level of build.
Yeah.
It's just most of the other stuff is really lacking in one or more areas. Usually driving dynamics. They're all of them are they're all very Instagrammable. They all look pretty cool. Like even a fucking half-ass Bronco will look pretty cool, but you drive it and you go, yikes! I'll roll this thing into a ditch.
It's a problem that was really common, or probably is common, in the hot rod and muscle car market, where a thing would look rad and it would have the right stance or the right engine, but then you start pressing the brakes, turning the wheel. These brake lights don't work that well. They're not that bright. Like they're either people cut corners or they just don't have the mind to build it to this level, which is fine. Like they're just it's a simpler shop. But when we start talking about the price, especially today, like I think Icon literally, I think, made the expensive resto mod 4x4 market. Everything that's kind of followed in its wake, from Blazers to everything else, like they owe them a hat tip. But if you're not doing it at that level, like why are you charging that much money?
Yeah.
For like lift kit, paint, stuff like that.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that try really hard and build okay trucks, but these are just much, much better. So go watch our video. You'll understand what we're talking about when you see the details. It's up right now. By the time people hear this, other than patrons, if you're listening live right now, tomorrow, Tuesday, 7 a.m., I put a post up on Patreon to get my watch. It will be available for pro drivers and champions. By the time everyone else hears this, next Thursday, it will have been available to the public, and therefore, be perfectly frank, if it hasn't sold out, I will consider myself a total failure.
Should we record a bunch of throws? Like there are 84 left. There are 83 left.
As of this morning, the Friends release resulted in 14 sales. So 14 of my actual real world friends bought watches, including one of my fraternity brothers that I haven't heard from in like 10 years. But he was like, I haven't worn a watch in 2 decades, but it is I'm going to buy your watch. So
That's really cool.
That's kind of nice. Shout out to Noah. So yeah, look, I make a great watch model, don't I? Don't I look excited in that photo? It's not a great.
It's actually, I mean, it's a really good photo, and they brightened you up nicely, and the watch really, really, really pops.
I have, but my hairy arms are not good for watch modeling.
I've said the arms don't really matter. I think your eyes right now are funny. They're like,
Yeah.
what do you want me to do? And they're like, let's go with that one.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
wait, I wasn't ready.
They shot like 30 frames. That's the one they chose. So, all right. Oh, and Freddie Hernandez just texted me. Tavares has purchased a watch.
Nice.
So he was on the friends list. So that's good. I hope everyone is satisfied with the purchasing experience. And then for everyone who did buy a watch or is buying a watch, I appreciate it. And there will be, for anyone in the Southern California area or anyone who wants to come to the Southern California area, there will be a watch delivery party at Westside Collector Car Storage if you want to come get your watch from me at that time.
That's cool.
Yeah. The last week, I've been driving the Bentley Continental GTC Speed, the convertible version of the one that we had. There's some photos of it on the gram. I didn't make a video. I didn't keep going down. There it is, left. I didn't make a video. I didn't think I would have a whole lot different to say than was said in the coupe video. That didn't really justify a video for this car.
Is that thesis correct, or did you get out and go, oh, shit?
Well, I mean, top level in terms of like what would make people click on a video, yeah. The spec of this car, if we want the podcast, this long form environment is great for, a little more nuanced discussion. So to that end, I think we should talk about it. Totally different spec. It's got all this suede and like red trim and carbon fiber, black wheels. I actually liked the interior. I thought I did enjoy that spec. Maybe not as much as the other one, but a couple of things that really, really stand out. One is you can absolutely, the convertible version of this car, you can feel in 50 feet the lack of chassis rigidity compared to the coupe.
Really?
Yeah. When you hit the bumps, it's got big wheels. It's got like 22s on it. Even with the air suspension and comfort, you can feel cracks in the road, potholes, the shudder that goes through the car. It is an amazing cruiser, and if I just wanted to roll around LA, it's insulated with the top up. It's great with the top down. I mean, it's a great open air motoring experience. You can still get hit with the climate control. You got that air scarf thing on the back of the seats. It's nice to drive around with the top down, but it feels heavier, noticeably heavier, even when you're not going fast. And B, I can instantly feel the lack of chassis rigidity, which instantly makes it feel like it's not sporting. So, bottom line, if I was going to get a convertible Bentley, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with, I would get a V8. I wouldn't get the Speed. I wouldn't get the 12. I wouldn't get any of the sporty options. I would go cruiser spec. Full cruiser spec. Spec it like a yacht.
I was about to say, if you're going to get a Chris Craft, don't make it a race boat, right?
Blue like a hull. A camel leather interior, like full-on wood grain yacht, land yacht, and you'll have a great cruiser. There's no difference between the V8 and the V12 or the W12 when you're just putting around town, still 550 horsepower or whatever, like, fine, do that. But the speed version with the firmer suspension and all the performance shit and the 12-cylinder engine, it does not pair well with the convertible at all. And it's just unnecessary. I get why somebody would want it. Give me everything.
Right.
One with everything, sir.
Because we are at that age of automobile
Yeah.
where, like, I mean, the coupe is a good version, where a good example. It's like, it is a luxury coupe in every way. And then we go into the Canyons and we're like, how the fuck is this so good?
You know, it's on Panamera architecture, right? There's no such thing as a Panamera convertible. So the Panamera architecture is designed as a to have the structure of a roof. So you cut the roof off and you have to add weight, you have to add some kind of bracing and rigidity. And the fact is you just can't get all the way back to where you were.
So 911, we've driven the Targa,
Yeah.
very good, very fun car in the Canyons. Do they, obviously they know there's going to be a Targa when they design that car.
A little bit. The soft roof, you feel it a little bit. The Targa, when it's closed, it feels thick. It feels more rigid because that whole rear clam is one piece. Still not as tight as the coupe, and you can feel the weight difference if you drive them back to back. But same idea. You want a cruiser, a daily, 4 seasons, get the Targa. If you really care about sporty driving, you want a coupe. The convertible 911 is pretty good. I'd actually probably rather have a soft top than a Targa if I cared about driving fast. But on really broken pavement, you can feel a little bit that it's not quite as tight. It's still great. It's probably the most rigid 4-seat convertible out there is a 911, but it's still not as good as the coupe. But especially because the Bentleys are so heavy, you notice it more. And so the coupe really surprised, I think, you as well, with how sporting it was.
Yeah.
It fucking rips.
Yeah.
It's you could take it to a racetrack and have fun. You can take it up a canyon and have fun. And when you are driving it in the city and on broken tarmac, the air suspension is free to do its thing because the chassis is incredibly rigid. In this, the convertible, the chassis is noticeably less rigid, and the air suspension being the speed, it's stiffer, it's firmed up, and so you get a little bit of the jiggles. You got to be pretty sensitive to it. Like a lot of but if you're listening to this podcast,
right,
you'll notice. You will notice. If you're like a regular like Beverly Hills mom, will you notice? No, probably not. Folks, got to take a quick break for a minute because we are supported this week by NASCAR. NASCAR! The 2023 NASCAR Cup Series regular season is nearing its end. And where better place to do it than where the whole thing started at Daytona? That's right, folks. The 2023 regular season finale will be at Daytona International Speedway, and we're expecting the action to be nothing short of spectacular. With only a handful of spots left in the NASCAR playoffs, drivers are going to be emptying the tanks and leaving it all on the track. The competition has never been more intense, with this season being NASCAR's 75th anniversary. There would be nothing more rewarding for these drivers than to earn themselves a spot to compete in the playoffs during such a monumental season for the sport. Celebrate the end of an epic NASCAR regular season by inviting your friends over and watching some good old-fashioned racing on the high banks of Daytona under the lights. Tune in to the regular season finale at Daytona International Speedway Saturday, August 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on NBC. Now back to the show.
But this is a good example of sometimes ticking the everything box is actually worse. Like you are getting a inferior experience to what you'd get if you went full luxury yacht mode. Like, because if what you want is just that wafty cloud type ride, then make sure you buy the parts that are for that.
Yeah, it's not lesser than. You actually would get a better experience by not speccing the car this way. It's interesting. You know, other stuff about the car's still great. You know, it still does all the things that we said about it. And this one doesn't have ceramics, which actually I don't think the other one we drove did either. The V8S I drove last year.
No, I think you're right. I think
the V8S I took to the track day did have ceramics, and they were awesome. The V8S with ceramics and all the sports shit is pretty awesome. I'd probably go that.
That had almost everything the Speed had except the diff, right? I don't think it had. I don't think it had the ELSD. Like that's one.
It had something. I got sideways in it, and it held a slide.
Let me look.
It had some kind of diff. It might not be. I think the V8S and the Speed get the same chassis shit. I don't know. But it was that the most fun one dynamically to me. It was probably the V8S.
Okay, so the Speed gets the electronic limited slip diff.
So the V8S
which the V8
does
does
not?
not.
Oh, it gets a mechanical LSD then probably.
Probably.
It's got something. It's not open diff for $360,000. It's definitely got a mechanical.
This is a Road and Track article, and it does not specify what kind of diff it has. That would be funny if I'm... No, Chris Perkins.
Okay.
It doesn't specify what the V8S has. It just says it does not get the ELSD.
Okay.
But
it was still great
if it was
on
good
a
enough
track.
on a track, then
it was
it's
still
fine.
great on a track. You could slide it and hold a slide just fine. So yeah, choose your adventure with the Bentley GT. An amazing car. And if you want a luxury 4-seat convertible, this car, by the way, was $396,000. This car was really expensive. I mean, you want to talk, this is a fucking expensive car. Really.
What was
this car was $45,000 more than the coupe we drove.
How much? Really?
Mm-hmm. That one was three.
I would rather have the coupe and everything.
352.
I'm not really into this interior, but I mean, granted, you can choose. They're doing the same thing that a lot of car companies do, where they make a really bright color on the interior, so you know what you can option and change.
Yeah.
if
They
you want
throw
to.
everything at it. So
it literally like highlights like you can change this if you
Yeah.
want to, like a brown.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, the Ferrari 296 we had.
Yeah.
That was over 3, right? Wasn't that like 342? Or
Oh, that
something?
was in the 4s.
That was in the 4s.
Yeah.
It's amazing that these are priced similarly. I mean,
Yeah.
different attitudes.
I think this is more expensive than the McLaren 720 that's sitting outside for me to drive to Pebble. I have a 720 Spider outside, and I think this is more than that. But it's hard to argue with the fit and finish, the quality, the solidness of all of it. It's ridiculous. It's one of the best built cars around right now, despite the chassis thing over bumps. Like you can't get away from that
Unless you have
a carbon tub.
Right.
Yeah.
The Spider starts at 326.
Okay. So it depends on options.
It's an options race. Yeah.
Depends on options. This thing was real expensive. Although I did not, Spike had this car 2 weeks ago, and he called it the most road rage-inducing car he's ever driven. He said it was incredibly hateable, and people treated him like shit when he was driving it. They wouldn't let him in. They gave him the finger. They really didn't like it. I didn't experience that. Maybe I didn't drive it.
I understand that though. Because,
I do.
Because sports cars, even when most people were kids, they'd go, oh, that looks cool, and they'd get excited. Even if you didn't end up being into cars.
Yeah.
Like it's red or it looks like a race car or whatever. This doesn't look like an exciting vehicle.
Right.
But if you know it is, it just looks like something expensive, and you're just like, fuck that person.
Yeah, it
gives you no joy.
The reputation is that it's someone with too much money and not enough creativity would buy this. And they're not entirely wrong. On the other hand, the people who buy these, especially the coupes, really are onto something. Because they're really fucking nice.
Yeah,
we
sure.
should stop thinking that way. And I understand if you want to hate someone because they've got $400,000 to blow on a car that will probably depreciate very fast. The fact is, you want to talk about a nice place to spend your time. I was sad to see this thing go this morning. It was
It'd be funny if
delightful.
people roll down the window, like for Spike, and they're like, I want you to know that you're an asshole, but I understand the decision you've made. I respect your choice. You are clearly a person of taste.
Show some sympathy to the poor Bentley GT owner. Just wants massage seats. Massage seats are great in this car.
I've never liked them that much in any car we've been in. And it's not a Bentley thing. I turn it on for 5 minutes. I don't know.
I use them every time I drive the car. I'd be making warranty claims on these motherfuckers in a year because I'll be using them.
I use them if I'm on a really long drive.
Yeah.
They absolutely work to get blood moving. Like once I hit hour 5, I turn them on.
Yeah.
But around town and stuff, it feels like I'm like getting poked by a cat behind me or something.
Speaking of which, did you look at the 720 that they left me?
I looked at the outside of it.
Did it have comfort seats? Did you see?
I didn't notice.
Okay. I hope it does.
Oh, I don't think it had the Geigers.
It does not have the HR Geiger seats?
I looked in the roof, quickly.
Yeah.
But it didn't leap out at me like
All right.
with the alien hug.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Excited. I was supposed to have a 765.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't know why, but Laura said, "Hey, there's something happened, and we have to put you in another car." She's like, "Are you okay with a 720?" I was like, "Of course."
That is one of the best cars I've ever driven.
Yeah, and for driving for a week around Monterey, it's better than a 765.
Yeah.
It's got comfort seats. It's a Spider. Fuck yeah.
Well, the 765 though has shorter gears, and you're going to be doing a lot of stop and go in traffic.
Yes,
so you'd have better
it'll have a
acceleration.
gear advantage. Yeah. So Pebble Beach starting tomorrow, doing all the things. By the time most people are listening to this, it'll be over in old news. But I'm excited. It should be fun. There's a lot going on up there. This time. Okay. We have a lot of questions from the Patreon, so we can get to those. But something that jumped out at me real quick, there was a story on The Drive from a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago, that apparently in the late 50s and early 60s, California tried speed by lane.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that story?
I saw it pop up.
It did not work out. Americans cannot handle this. It was on the front page as of this morning. And they tried doing speed minimums, a minimum speed of 65 in the left lane, a minimum speed of 60 in the next lane over, a minimum speed of 55, and then a minimum speed of 50. But it had very predictable results, which is that everybody wanted to go in the left lane.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody that was driving slow wanted to admit that they were just driving slow.
Right.
And go in the appropriate lane. Which is the most American thing ever, and a big part of the reason that actually the right lane in California is very often the fast lane.
Yeah.
Because so many people just camp out in the left lane, thinking that's the fastest lane, that the right lane is left empty.
I forget who it was. I think I was listening to the Collecting Cars podcast, and they were talking about this growing problem in the UK where the left lane is getting clogged, and they're like, should we just start undertaking? Should we call it undertaking because we're passing on the right in the wrong lane now? And it's been a problem here for years and years and years.
I like that that's worse. A debate in the UK, where here it's just how you drive.
Well, I think they're like, I don't know, maybe they adhere to their rules more.
Yeah, they do.
And here, we're not adhering to the rules at all. We have left lane lurkers.
Yeah.
In how many states now is that a ticketable offense? It's growing.
Some.
It's some.
I could say some. I don't know exactly
it's also
how many.
like hard to enforce.
Yeah.
That is something I would be in I'd be in favor of the average speed camera if it also wrote tickets for that. It's like, hey,
dude, if it knew what lane you were in, man,
it's a camera.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I know, but the average speed. If your average speed, hypothetically, the period is 30 miles for average speed, right? And your average speed is there should be like a threshold, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go over, you get a ticket, okay. But if you're in the left lane and your average speed is below, then you should get
right.
Yeah, now we're talking.
If it tracks the left lane of I-5 for 10 miles, it's like, oh, you've caused 15 traffic backups. Yeah. Vans are passing you on the right-hand side.
Totally.
Yeah, you should get a ticket.
Yeah. So it's an interesting article that talks about some driving history that I didn't know about right up until Chris Rosales wrote this article. But yeah, I mean, if you most people are unaware that most people that drive slow don't see themselves as driving slow. Mm-hmm. They think they're driving the right speed.
And everyone else is insane.
And they think everyone else is crazy.
Right.
Which is, the most American thing ever.
I don't know if that happens in other countries, but I just know it's very annoying.
Other countries I'm sure there's there's plenty of countries with crazy ass driving that has no rules at all.
Russia.
But in Europe, people definitely have lane discipline and they drive fucking fast in the fast lane and for the most part and then move over.
Right. That's true.
People in America don't want to drive behind somebody.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't matter what speed they're going. They just want open road in front of them.
Right.
The idea that car and me are going the same speed, so let me drop in behind that car and go that speed, that's completely fucking unheard of.
Yeah, you'll see people move over into say they're in the right lane, there's 3 lanes. They'll move to the middle continue the same pace.
Yeah.
But it's like
why?
now
Because
there's
there's
no
more room in
Yeah.
front of them, which is like how traffic starts.
Yes,
that is,
it is.
That is the big bang of traffic.
Yeah.
It's like the first person to go, I'm going to go the same speed as the slow lane, but in the lane next to them. Like, you motherfucker.
That is one reason I support the development of autonomous cars, because if they could get rid of those folks, like, meaning they would just take over for them and go, no, we're just going to be behind this car. You don't have to worry about anything,
Yeah.
but we're going to go this speed,
Yeah.
and you're going to like it.
Yeah.
Be nice.
I mean, a lot of people want an autonomous car, but they don't understand that they want an autonomous car that they can program to break the rules for their benefit. They want an
or-
aggressive driver.
Some do,
autonomous
but
car.
I want an autonomous car that will enforce the rules. Some people will drive better, meaning like they won't go under the speed limit on the highway in the left lane. They're going to go the speed limit because that's what the car will make them do. And that'd be nice.
I forgot who wrote it might have been, I forget if it was one of the books or articles I read, but somebody wrote about how we don't actually want autonomous cars, just like we don't want an Uber driver. If you got in an Uber and the driver drove the exact speed limit the whole way, you'd probably be annoyed. Mm-hmm. And people feel kind of the same way about autonomous cars.
But I think to the same degree, if someone got in an Uber and the Uber driver went faster than that person feels comfortable,
Yeah.
they'd also be annoyed.
Yeah, but there's a threshold. You know, you want your Uber driver to go like with the flow of traffic, and if that flow of traffic is 5 to 10 miles an hour above the speed limit, that's what you want. If the car was programmed to go exactly the speed limit and that was 5 to 10 miles an hour under the flow of traffic, you'd be annoyed.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Patreon, because you're a privileged class of people. There is, as we like to say, a lords and peasants system on this particular social network.
Everyone listening right now owns both an Icon and a Bentley.
Yeah, no, but that's what Elon said with his pay to play system, was that he was breaking down the lords and peasants system. He neglected to mention that he was replacing it with his own lords and peasants, where the lords were people who paid him and the peasants were everybody else.
So you're still paying for access.
Right,
Yeah.
right. What I'm saying is that the lords and peasants system is still very much there. The exact one that he complained was the biggest problem with Twitter.
Right.
The difference is the lords are the people who pay him.
Right. Instead of
Yes.
just accruing
Right.
value over
Right.
time.
These
and then
people,
getting a
they
check mark.
can't be lords because they're being recognized for contributing to a platform, and they're worried about identity theft, and they should need a way to show that it's the actual person that's contributing this content. No. To be a lord, you pay the king. That's how that shit works, bro. $8 a month. Joe Chihos says, I just got my 69 Corvette back on the road after rescuing it from 20 years in a barn. I find myself apprehensive to drive it on Orlando roads due to other drivers. How do you gather the gumption to drive death trap cars in the presence of distracted drivers? Forget cars. I ride my motorcycle around LA, dude. I don't know. I mean,
I am always much more cautious driving an old car. Like I leave
Sure.
way more room in front of me.
Yeah.
I ride it similar to how I would ride, or I drive it similar to how I would ride a motorcycle, because you can't depend on the car like to react as quickly as you might to a problem, and you also don't want to get hit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're driving a classic car, you're probably paying more attention. I do when I drive my old cars. And I'm pretty confident that I have better reaction times than most people on the road. Most. I'm pretty confident that I have better car control than most people on the road. I know my cars. And like, I leave a little bit bigger of a gap where I can. I use my turn signals, and I try to be a courteous driver towards other people. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't drive around or ride my motorcycle around just like scared all the time.
No, I just pay attention. And something
Yeah.
I do in old cars I'm thinking of is I will stay to the right more. I will not be trying to be in the left fast lane on highways as much, or even like, Florida roads are basically highways with stoplights. It's like 4 lanes on each side.
Dude, I had
I'm
to
happy
go
to let anybody pass me.
full lock in the Ferrari a couple weeks ago on the 110, the curvy part coming from Pasadena. Came around a corner, fast lane. A car was stopped.
By itself?
Fully stopped by itself, and the driver was getting out of it.
Jesus Christ.
Like, they got a flat or something. I don't know if they got a flat or they broke down or what, but they didn't have the fucking gall to coast it over to the right or to find a way to not be where they were. And I went from 70 to fucking 0, and I locked up all 4 tires, and I probably missed rear-ending them by 3 feet.
Yikes.
And then I did something, and then I saw in my mirror, another car's coming. So what do? Real quick, reverse 10 feet back, dump the clutch from fucking 5K, and Magnum PI'd the fuck around. Hannah almost shit her pants, dude.
Yeah, I bet.
But like I got out of that one.
If I have to heavy brake in a place that I think is a surprise to me, I also immediately go to the hazards to try to tell someone behind me. If I can't, but if you're full wheel lockup, you're not hitting.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Dante says, this week I learned about the rare Lancia Hyena Zagato, a coupe-bodied Delta Integrale. Is there a chassis and drivetrain you'd like to rebody by a coach builder? That's a good question. Coach building is in. What's a good, cool powertrain with a yeah, this thing looks kind of cool, right? The Lancia Hyena Zagato. You can't really tell there's a Delta Integrale under there, except for the wheels.
Wow.
It's pretty cool, right?
Looks very like early 2000s.
Yeah.
92. Yeah, it looks more modern than that.
Chassis and powertrain that I'd like to rebody. What's like a not great looking car with a real cool powertrain?
XJ220. I don't really like the way that car looks.
Yeah, that could be kind of interesting. I'd like to see a coach-built. I'd like to turn an Alfa Giulia Quadrifoglio into a coupe.
Yeah, that could look good.
That generally resembled the same kind of thing, but a coupe GT car. That would be pretty rad.
One where I like the shape of the current one so much. I just want it to be reliable forever. So I want to like change the chassis out, change the drivetrain out.
I think
it's hard. It's a fun game.
A Giulia coupe would be pretty sweet, or a Giulia shooting brake.
I'm about to get uninvited from any future Ferrari press launches, but maybe the SF90. Only because it looks so similar to the 296.
Yeah.
And that powertrain and the execution of the hybrid powertrain is very impressive. But it's like, it just looks too similar.
I liked we were talking to Freddie on the last show, and I liked the idea of a Hellcat minivan. I think that'd be rad. You know, put a Hellcat under a Pacifica. I'm pro that. But yeah. Shout out to I just saw on Instagram a Bentley Turbo R station wagon. They apparently made like 11 of them. 7 were from like the majority of them were for the Sultan of Brunei, because of course they were. But it looked awesome. You see the blue one?
I'm looking at a silver one.
Okay.
And it's very like it's Volvo meets Mercedes meets Bentley all at once.
It looks like it's supposed to look, but it's just awesome. It's not like a full coach built, because it's not like the front, 3/4 of the car is stock, but it does look pretty fucking rad.
Looks tough.
Yeah, it does. And it has 4x4.
What?
It had 4-wheel drive put in first gear only. So you have to put it in first gear, and then you can engage the 4-wheel drive. Proper Safari. Ryan Arbogast says, what cars from 10 or more years ago would benefit most from advanced tire technology? Any suddenly interesting old cars that weren't great, mostly due to old tire tech? Good question. Carrera GT, Ford GT, easy. You put modern tires on either of those cars, and they become much, much, much more usable and less sketchy. Porsche 930 turbos. A Porsche 930 with a set of fucking Michelin PS4S on it, that's a pussycat. No problem.
I drove one that had 400 horsepower with PS4s in it.
Power
like,
down.
right,
no
fine.
problem. Easy. almost any of those Widowmaker type cars with modern tires would be shockingly easy to drive.
Carrera GT.
I said.
Oh, you said
Carrera
that?
GT
I was
and
typing something.
Carrera GT
Literally
and
tuned out.
Ford GT.
Yeah.
Both are those are the two biggest ones because they both came with straight garbage. Those tires.
What else was squirrely? Like, was anything front engine known for being
Vipers.
Oh yeah.
And there's still you put a set of PS4S's on a first gen Viper, it'd probably hook up pretty good. It probably wouldn't be too sketchy.
Yeah, that's probably why they made good race cars. I mean, they had good bones. They just needed good rubber.
Yeah, for sure. Tim A says, why do you think traditional television shows always force artificial deadlines to create suspense? Asked and answered, my friend.
Yeah.
The last two words answer your first question. There have to be stakes. It's got to be done by this time. It's got to be worth this much money. Otherwise, I lose my ass.
Because it makes the viewer care.
Yeah.
Like it is it's not necessarily a trick, but it's like good TV shows, movies, everything.
Right.
They need to make you care about the character or the problem or whatever.
Yeah. And there's other ways to build suspense besides that, but that way is easy and you can write it. Mm-hmm. It's easy, it's predictable.
And it's simple to understand.
Yeah. And the cost of making a TV show is more than the cost of building a car. So if you can deal with the fucking car on the TV show's timeline and not make the TV show on the car's timeline, that's how they make TV. Yeah. It's but yeah. Answer in the question right there. Tyrell Northcutt. Best new-ish factory track car for under $50K. How many factory track cars exist that are new and under $50K? Less than 5 years old and under $50,000. Factory track car.
Well, is he? Or sorry.
At least 300 horsepower and a manual gearbox.
But he references the SS1LE. So is that like a track-oriented sports car?
Yeah, I think he's talking about a track-oriented sports car. That's probably the best one for your money.
I think you could get a Z28 for that much money.
Not 2018 plus. Z28s are 2015. So you're talking about a Mustang GT Performance Pack 2.
Yeah, a used.
You're talking about
Pack 2.
A 2018. You're talking. I don't know if you can get a Shelby 350 for that. You're on the line.
Yeah.
You could definitely get a Corvette, right? A C7 Corvette.
Oh, totally.
Z51. I'd probably rather have a Z51 Corvette than a Camaro SS1LE, personally.
For track use, yes.
Corvettes are good. But if there's not a lot else out there.
Is there any
factory track?
There's no Cayman that would be that cheap. That's also that recent.
Not under 50 for a 20 for that's a 718 gen car.
Mm-hmm.
Not likely.
Yeah, the answer is Corvette.
On the line would be the Cayman GTS 4-cylinder turbo that they only did for a year before putting the 6-cylinder in it. Underappreciated car, might be. I don't know what they cost. I haven't looked. These are tough questions because we're not looking at the market. We're not just like we want to help. Don't get me wrong, but we're not just like browsing around. Like, hey, what are the options for this exact thing that you're looking for? I don't.
All right. Well, there's GT350s for under 50 grand, but barely, and they're all
16s, right?
Yep, 16 or 17.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really specific.
It's very specific request, and I can't think of something better outside of the General Motors family. You're talking about SS1LE Camaro or a C7 Corvette. That's really where we're at here, right?
Yeah.
Like, what else? 2018 and up. That's a new car.
Pretty much.
We can't recommend an 86 for track cars right now.
Right.
Not with this RTV thing and this oil starvation thing.
And the Miata's too cheap. And actually, did they make a new Miata Club Sport 2018?
There isn't a. There's
No,
like
there's
whatever the best.
Like I drove the RF, which had
Yeah.
good suspension and stuff, but it wasn't. I don't think they made a club sport.
And it says he asked for 300 horsepower with a manual, so that's not a Miata. You're limited. There's only a few options on the table here. Mustang Performance Pack 2.
Hold on, Civic Type R.
Oh, sure.
I think
That could be a good
that's
one.
a strong contender.
Civic Type R would be a good contender if you want to go front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of fun. It's a nice car. Yeah.
Otherwise,
Good thought, Clapman.
I did it.
Yeah. Good thought.
I was trying to think of how much was the Maritzo edition?
You might be able to get a
Crowley?
Supra, like a 21 Supra, right on that line.
That's true.
That could be okay.
I drove that Track Prep Supra, and that guy, I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry if you're listening. White car with graphics on it, and it handled so good. And
Yeah.
he's been beating it up at the track since I filmed it 2 years ago, and it's held up fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's robust.
Yeah, if you can get an early Supra, that could probably do it. Some good options there. Yeah. Okay. 404 user not found. If you won Cletus McFarland's latest giveaway, would you choose the Ariel Atom or the 600 horsepower Leroy Jr. drag car?
How do you want to die?
The Ariel Atom. You can't drive that drag car on the street.
Yeah. I would
That
choose
thing's
the
a
Atom,
fucking
too.
death trap. At least you could drive an Ariel Atom on the street a little bit. Yeah. El Zapataro says, I just bought my first enthusiast car, a Mercedes SLK 55 AMG. Very interesting car. I don't think, I've had the same State Farm agent for decades. I don't think State Farm would cover actual replacement costs in the case of a total. I'm wondering if it would behoove me to get a policy with a collector car agency. It would. I think it would. You can insure it for declared value, and you agree on what the value is to replace it, and you insure it for that much, and you pay that much. Things to consider. One, you have to have a daily. You cannot only have one car. You need to prove that you have a daily driver car that has a daily driver regular ass policy on it, and then you can start a collector policy for your side piece.
It also can't be street parked, because I just went through this process talking to Haggerty, and I couldn't insure my M3 for the reasons we were listing. But one of the things they also cited is it has to like have a parking garage or something like that.
Yeah. You could solve that, by the way, by you and Sarah being on the registration and insurance of the Fit together. You can share a daily.
That would count as the daily, but my
the street
M3
parking.
is still,
Yeah,
that's still
yeah.
a piece that they would have to figure out.
You can't say it lives here, huh? They won't buy that.
Not right now.
Not if we say it on the podcast.
Well, it does live here starting today.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. And the other thing is, if you're doing a collector's policy, the first car, meaning if you have a collector policy for one car, you're going to be pretty shocked at the number they give you. It's going to be a big number. The premium is a big number. Now, it's replacement cost, right? So if you have an accident or a car gets stolen or whatever, you get all of your money back compared to, well, the adjuster says this is an '08 SLK that's only worth $6,000, you know, so there's that. But it's when you have the second, third, fourth, fifth cars on that policy that it starts to get really, my Lamborghini, crazy expensive. But the Ferrari, that's it? And the NSX is, really? By the time you get to my Mitsubishi Delica, there's a negative premium there. They pay me
they're like, please drive this.
They pay me $85 a year.
But they don't know how hard it is to find a door.
Correct. Yeah, correct. So that's that. Them's the rules. If you can go with them, then yeah, I recommend a collector policy. Christian says, thoughts on how long Lucid can last losing as much money as they are. Yeah, someone put a Twitter thread up of how the math worked on Lucid's business right now. Let's just say it wasn't good.
Well, I found this earlier. So Lucid, this is an article from
Burned
this
$1
month,
billion in
deep dive.
Q2.
They burned $1 billion in quarter two.
Yeah.
Their burn rate is really, really high, and they just raised $3 billion from some stock sale from Saudi Arabia's PIF. Well, $3 billion from the Saudi fund and their stock sale. But if you're burning $1 billion a quarter,
it's not good.
quickly.
You know why? Because they're not a car company. They're a tech company. Once they have total market dominance, this will seem like nothing. It'll be peanuts, Clapman.
But are they? They're not trying to do that, are they? Are they?
Well, they're certainly not succeeding if they are.
But I'm just saying, like, Tesla has always been like, we're also this and this and this. We're not just cars.
This is the Silicon Valley, startup model, right? That's how they do it. They burn cash like crazy until they can
hope it works out.
Yeah. They gotta, it's actually, I think it might work out for Rivian. Because Rivian, people want their products. Mm-hmm. The resale value, look at the resale value. If you bought a Rivian, either a truck or SUV, drove it for 1,500 miles and then flipped it on Bring a Trailer or Cars and Bids, you're basically getting MSRP. They're flipping for MSRP.
Right.
If you buy a Lucid
for
$150,000, you drive for 1,500 miles, you go to sell it at auction, and I know because we did this, you're losing $60,000, $70,000. So the perception and versus the reality is there's a big gap there. So the cars are cool. We've driven a bunch of Lucids. They're really cool. But are they hugely cooler than a Rivian or a Model S with a round wheel?
Well, a Rivian delivers something that no one else was until Ford Lightning came into being. Whereas the Lucid goes, all the other EV super sedans that are out there, we do that too. And Lucid, I know, they do great work. And in some ways, their cars are better than some of their competition, but not in enough ways to pull people out of Mercedes dealership, Rolls-Royce now dealership, or Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long they can go on. I'm not a finance guy, but $1.25 billion seems bad.
Well, it says, this is from Electrek, quote, according to the company's first quarter results, Lucid generated $150 million in revenue while ending the quarter with $3.4 billion in cash and $4 billion in total liquidity. So if they made $150 million.
So a year. They can go a year.
I guess.
I don't know. It would be tough. It's too bad because I do like the car.
Yeah. It did a lot of things really well.
Yeah.
Hard business.
Okay. Yeah, it is. It's really hard business. George Sherman says, in a recent episode discussing the Bentley GT Speed, you talked about possible throttle house-like comedic cold opens. Would this be something you're interested in implementing? I don't think we ever actually seriously. They already do that. I have no interest in copying what Thomas and James are just doing successfully right now.
Theirs are very good. I don't know what we said about it.
Yeah, theirs are good, and I don't think we have the bandwidth for that. I think doing scripted videos. But by the way, just so you all know, doing scripted videos is a money loser, 95% of the time. There's just the amount of time it takes to make those videos versus the amount of money they generate. It's not. I'm not sure how long that'll last because it's just not a business model that is sustainable. Whatever Thomas and James are doing, they're doing a great job, and their videos get a huge number of views. But like they said when they were in this room, they have to because they have a huge payroll when it comes to making YouTube videos. There's 6 people on that team. Mm-hmm. And if you do that math out, and they're in fucking Canada, it's not like Canada's super, super cheap, but it's not LA. And so they have to hit those numbers because the production that goes into it is a lot more expensive. Chris N says the sound and tone of the GT4 RS comes off way different on video than the GT3. It sounds more metallic and raspy in the GT4 RS. Is this true in person, or do they sound similar since they have the same engine? Well, the exhaust setups are totally different. In a GT3, the headers go into one muffler and then come out the back. In all 718 series cars, 4RS included, they're separate exhausts. So you're hearing 2 3-cylinder engines synchronized. It's incredibly pronounced in my Spider. in the 4RS and the Spider RS versus the GT3, it's because those exhausts are true dual exhausts. They don't come together. So that's why the GT3 sounds how it does versus the 4RS. Miguel Flores says, a friend of mine is convinced a Hellcat will smoke a Plaid on the street. That is not true. He cannot fathom a Hellcat being beaten by anything. How do you deal with those kinds of people whose entire meaning of life is wrapped up in a car? That's my life fucking right there.
What you want to do is you're going to want to go to your bank and get like $3,000 in cash. And then you're going to want to set up a race between him and anyone who owns a Plaid. Doesn't matter who's driving it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to want to bet him money on it. And then after you win that money, have a good vacation.
Yeah.
Like, bet against the house. I don't know. That's just, how do you...
Yeah. Look, anywhere... There's people who are very confident all the time, and sometimes that's me, and sometimes they're wrong. And there's people that can't admit that they're wrong, or they can't admit that something that challenges their basic beliefs could be true. And those people, I feel bad for them. It could be a car, it could be politics, it could be what the fuck ever.
So many things.
So many things.
The good thing with cars is it's very easy. Like, if he actually raced a Plaid, that might change his mind. Because I used to think muscle cars were the fastest thing in the world. And then I raced my friend's Rabbit. I lost. I went, oh. Like, and I learned from that. So it depends on how many races it will take this person before they accept the truth.
Right.
How many indictments are needed?
Yeah, right. Great mate. Graduated college and got a Shinola watch as a gift. I love it, and that's what's important, but I'm curious what the reputation is among watch collectors and enthusiasts as I'm getting more interested in the hobby. What I think and what the general community thinks are not the same thing. Shinola tried to do this made in Detroit thing, and when they first started, they were really all like quartz movements and kind of like Chinese parts. And the final assembly was in Detroit, and I liked their design, and I thought, okay, I didn't really know better, and I was like, well, some part of it being made in America is better than no part of it being made in America, so there's that. And I bought one, and I liked it for what it was. It wasn't that high quality, but I liked it for what it was. So now they've done real automatic movements, mechanical movements. Oh, yeah. Yes. The FTC says that they cannot claim their watches are made in America anymore. That's from 2016.
Right.
That may have changed since then. They're not really talked about in serious collector circles. At almost every price point, there are better options in terms of watch guy cred. Now, I hope you like your watch, and I don't care, and I'm not going to shit on you for wearing it. I have a beef with them that is totally unrelated to the quality of their product, which is when my cat Axel was dying, I put up a picture of me holding him on Instagram. I was wearing that Shinola watch. It was not prominently featured. The post was about the cat. Pray for the health of my cat with cancer. And Shinola's social media person tagged themselves in the photo and in the comments, which instantly dead to me. If you're going to if that's where you're diving in as a brand, eat a dick. And I would never spend a dime at their stores ever again. Just saying. Sean Finney says, how would you spend $75K across one or two cars if you lived in a big East Coast city? 2 hours from the mountains or canyons, lots of time in traffic, and fun driving involves a fast on-ramp. 75K?
I would do a comfortable thing and then a fun thing. I would not try to combine them. Like he said, 997 or 991, 911. I wouldn't try to... Like, the roads in the East Coast, some of them are fine and some are so bad that, like, any idea of a sports car is just feels like it's shaking to pieces, especially like around New York, some of the highways and stuff. Oh, my God. So I would just get something like, A4 or a Golf or something like that to drive around. And then something really fun so it feels special. Yeah,
I'd have like a 3-year-old Subaru Forester, and then the best whatever Porsche I could afford.
Exactly.
997 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. the all-season / winter beater / semi-utility type vehicle. Maybe I prefer an Outback to a Forester, but like, you know, a 3-year-old Outback, and then a 911 or a Boxster or a Cayman or something like that. Tim A, do you have a preference of metallic or non-metallic paint on cars? Do certain car designs work better with metallic paint? Totally depends on the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some cars are better with it. Some cars are not.
I think the chalk matte thing can look cool, but I think it would be hard for me to find a color where I'd go, that looks better than a metallic paint on this car, because the metallic shows the curves and the lines of the car more. You know, the matte stuff kind of it flattens it out.
Yeah, I'm kind of over chalk. It doesn't. Chalk was cool for like a year when they first did chalk, and now I'm not really that into it anymore.
I feel like I got a new phone cover, and this looks like a Forerunner color to me. It's chalk green.
Hannah calls chalk a non-color, but there's some like non-metallics like green, non-metallic blue. Here at the shop, we've got a Mercy, Lambo Mercy, in non-metallic blue, which I think looks pretty nice.
There's some pastels that can look cool.
Yeah.
Like, especially on something like a Mercy in Miami where
pastels could be fun.
More.
I think for the newer cars, I like the metallics better. I think the modern metallic flake looks pretty good. I don't love like candy apple hot rod stuff unless you're going all the way. Unless it's like a
lowrider.
Like a high boy. Yeah, a lowrider is like, that should look like a disco ball. Yeah, lowrider better be metallic, but unless you go flat black. Murray says, I'm thinking about using an EV for a road trip from San Diego to Vegas for a music festival. I've rented a Model 3 before, so I want something different. Would I be okay with a Polestar 2 in terms of comfort and finding a level 3 charger? The hotel I'm staying at doesn't offer it. I mean, a couple things. One, that's an easily Googleable question. We have a review of the Polestar 2. You can, I'm not saying, we don't want to help, but, I've never done that drive before. Right. So, I don't know where the chargers are. There's chargers in Baker. I know that. There's DC fast charging in Baker. There's DC fast charging in Barstow. So you can at least, and there's some DC fast charging in Vegas, specifically at the Caesars Palace Mall. But coming from San Diego, that's don't know about south of LA. You're on your own down there. I mean, if you specifically are going on a road trip,
why not rent a gas car?
You're just making your life fucking harder. You're, in my opinion.
Well, because you're not going to get free charging, right?
Right.
So you're going to be paying for the charging.
You're paying for
which is
DC
not
fast
that
charging.
cheap.
Right.
So you're going to be paying for that and causing more of a headache. We talk about it a lot. This is an example of when a gas car makes more sense.
Yeah. For me, my electric car is the best LA run around errands, do bullshit locally car. Wouldn't rather have anything else. It's perfect at that task. Do I put up with it on road trips? Yes. If I had a choice from a rental fleet of what to get, I would absolutely never inconvenience myself with an electric rental car. Fucking no chance. Not for a road trip.
Rent like an Accord. Rent something that gets 38 miles per gallon highway. That's what
Dude, I rented when I went to Austin to go to NASCAR with Tommy Buns. I rented an Altima. What a fucking shitbox. I mean, a terrible car. Just straight junk. 47 miles per gallon. I drove it for 5 days. I drove it for 5 days. I don't know how.
Oh my God.
CVT, light throttle, I drove for 5 days. The fucking needle didn't come off a F. I put 1.6 gallons in it before I returned it. Rent that.
Yeah. Truly. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. John Osborne drives a C7 Corvette Grand Sport with an automatic, thinking about buying a C8 Stingray. How different is the driving experience and what will I notice once I get behind the squeal? It's the square wheel.
Yeah, I love it.
Very different.
Yeah.
You'll notice everything.
You'll be able to see a lot more. The windshield, the front visibility is a lot better.
The engine is basically the same. The sound of it is basically, but the gearbox will be massively different. The seating position, massively different. The head and leg room, very different. Make sure you fit.
The transmission's so much better.
Way better.
Oh, it's so much better.
The interface is better. The controls are better.
If you if you haven't
have
driven
a smaller
C8
trunk.
and you go drive one, you'll be so sad when you get back into your C7 because of the automatic. That would be.
And by the way,
downfall.
John, C8 Stingrays are all over Turo. What did we rent that one for? 150 a day?
Yeah, like 250 with insurance.
Something like
or
that.
Something like that.
If you're legit considering getting one, if you're in anywhere near a major city, there is a Corvette Stingray available for Turo. Grab it for a day. Drive extended test drive. Just do that. It's different. It feels way different.
It'll probably ride a lot softer, especially if it has the mag ride, because your Grand Sport, does the Grand Sport come with mag ride? It's usually pretty stiffly sprung just to deal with the weight up front. And the Grand Sport is an amazing track car. It handles really well, but it'll probably be more comfortable.
Yep. Michael S. wants us to recommend a suicide knob. It's one of those.
I thought these were illegal, but then
he
clarified, I'm losing the use of my arm for a few months, and I need one to make my daily driver handy ready.
Yeah. If you've never heard of that, that's the knob on the steering wheel. It clamps to the steering wheel and allows you to spin the wheel with one hand. It's really only useful for like old school cars that have circulating ball steering, recirculating ball, where you got to do like 87 turns lock to lock. I wouldn't recommend it on a car with an airbag because it'll turn into a fucking projectile.
Well, I mean, and you don't want to hit your face on it. That's why they called it that, because you would hit your head and it would go through your skull.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how we'd recommend one. I don't know if I've ever driven with one.
No, I've never driven one either.
Pick one that's squishy.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
One made of foam.
Yeah.
Christian says, would you let Jay Leno have the spider on his show? Yeah, sure. Sure would. Jack Riley says, what am I looking forward to most this year at Pebble? I got fucking some really great shirts I'm excited to wear. You know what I did last night that made me feel fucking great? I took the box from the top shelf of my closet that's been put away for a year that has XL shirts written on it in Sharpie. And I was able to take, not everything. I tried on half the shirts in the box, couldn't wear all of them, but 3 of my favorites I was able to pull out of the box, and they're coming with me to Pebble Beach.
That's great.
That's incredibly rewarding.
That's great.
Yeah. I used to be stupid. I used to throw away clothes or give away clothes I couldn't wear anymore. Been up and down so many fucking times. They go in the box, on the shelf. My 38 jeans and my XL shirts. I haven't had the balls to try the jeans yet. I don't think I'm quite there. I'm down 2 belt notches.
Nice.
Though.
That's the easiest measurement of weight loss or gain.
I haven't been on a
just how your
scale.
clothes
I have
fit.
absolutely no idea what I weigh. But got a shirt, 2 shirts out of the box coming with me to Pebble Beach. That is what I'm most excited for. I realize that's probably not what Jack wants to know.
But I bet he's happy with the answer.
I'm going to see lots of good friends. I'm going to check out all the newest shit from Ramats and Bugatti and Hennessy and all that cool shit at the Quail. Say hello to Professor Gordon Murray. We're doing a lot of good parties happening. Porsche party I'm excited for, to see all of them. The Bentley party, the Aston Martin party, the McLaren party. There's an Avance magazine party. Got passes to the Gooding auction. That'll be fun. I'm going to do this drive up there tomorrow with Bruno Senna, the nephew of Ayrton Senna and racing driver in his own right, which is pretty cool. And lots of friends going to be around, and possibly some cigars with Seinfeld, Zuckerman, and Spike. And I'm doing the Spike's Car Radio Saturday. The forums sold out, 250 tickets. That'll be fun.
Cool.
And XL shirts, all that, and my old fucking blazers fit too. And I put my wedding suit on, and that fit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I got these amazing blazers that my dad had from the 80s, cashmere blazers that he gave me when I was skinny, and I could wear them for like a year. Put them on last night, both fit.
Ooh,
I'm
so
stoked.
soft and comfortable.
Cashmere
Nice.
blazer at Pebble.
How many suitcases do you have?
I got 2. I got the leather duffel, and then I got the
Hanging
garment
bag, right.
hanging bag. As a matter of fact, when I go home, I got to go across the street. My neighbor, who is like 83, just adopted a dog. Her dog died last year, and it was like a little dog. She just adopted a 3-year-old pit bull.
Oh yeah, Hannah told me about this.
And
It's,
this
like,
poor
strong,
dog was in a kill shelter. It was like a month from being euthanized. She adopted it. This dog is so sweet. It's the sweetest, prettiest dog, Sadie, but she's really not great with other dogs, and she's not great at walking.
What's it look like? What color is this dog?
Gray and white.
The dog that attacked Tucker was named Sadie.
Oh, this lady gave the dog a new name. That's not its name before. Yeah, it's a gray and white pit bull girl. Okay. So Hannah and I have been walking this dog for her. And the dog's not great at walking. It really tugs hard on the muscles on this dog. It's sweet and it loves people, but
it's got like delts.
It's really, really strong dog, and so I can hold it. But this lady, there's just no way. So anyway, she's always going, "What can I do for you? What can I do for you? Nothing." Today, there's something she can do for me when I go walk the dog. Finally, it's the kind of thing that only someone who's lived in a house for a really long time can do. I need like 20 of those wire hangers that the cleaner gives you.
Right.
When we moved into our new house, we got all new hangers, these beautiful wood hangers that match a closet. But I can't put them in the garment bag. They're too bulky. Arlene, I need like 10 wire hangers from the dry cleaners. I've done all kinds of stuff. I've hung pictures in this lady's house. I've helped her like move things and stuff. She lives by herself. Her husband died. Her dog died. Yeah. So today Arlene's going to do something for me. I need 10 wire hangers for my blazers. Philip says, what are your favorite sub 2,500 pound cars? Very light cars.
I've only driven 3 out of the 5.
He lists the Atom, the Nomad, the Elise Exige, the Caterham. I like the Elise SC. It's got the Exige motor, supercharged, but a little more comfort set up with the removable top. That's very nice.
Yeah, the Elise was raw enough for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't need Exige.
Spartan in there. Yeah. Probably that, because I like having a roof indoors. The aerials are fun, but
yeah. I mean, I talked about it a couple shows ago. The 1985 Carrera Club Sport prototype that I drove in Germany was 2,217 pounds or 2,213 pounds, and that was amazing. Felt like a real car. Didn't feel like buzzy or tinny. Just felt like a 911, just way fucking faster. It ruled. Can you move the cursor? Trent says, new patron here. My daily is a twin turbo Wagoneer. Wait,
damn
is that the new Wagoneer? Does the new Wagoneer have a turbocharged engine option?
I believe so.
Okay.
I read the same thing. I was like, cool. And I went, oh, wait, it's probably
not like a 1991 Wagoneer with a twin turbo motor in it. Okay, a new Wagoneer. Okay, I've been looking into higher horsepower manual 4-seat GT car. What do you do there? To keep as a summer car. I've always wanted a Hellcat 6-speed. For $50K, what other cars should I be considering? 2011 GT500. 2011 is a great sweet spot year for a GT500.
I like the new Mustang Mach 1.
Mach 1 would be great.
That's a good all-around car. Depends on what your definition, Trent, of high horsepower is.
Yeah.
I mean, you listed Hellcats.
Or a Shelby 350. I mean, if you've got the money for a 350 or a 350R, they're rad.
They sound special.
They sound
in a
awesome.
Good way.
Yeah. You could also get a 4-seat GT car. You could get probably up in the 70s or maybe the 80s, but a Ferrari 456 GT, unloved, but mechanically the same as a 550 Maranello with an extra set of seats.
True.
You could get a manual. Let's see. You could get a. You're not getting an A50 CSI for that. That's not going to do it.
I mean, you could get a used like C63 AMGS. You know, that's a really fun car.
Not manual.
Seats for it. No, that's true.
But you could get an M3 sedan. I mean, an M3 sedan with a manual is a fantastic car.
Like an
V8 or a Turbo 6.
Yeah.
A V8 one is collectible.
That would be a good way to go.
Yeah.
Get an E90.
E90, great one. 50 grand gets you a whole bunch of that with a stick. It's 50 grand will probably get you a competition. Probably get you an E90 competition sedan. It'd be rad.
That'd be strong.
Yeah, that would be strong. I would like that. If you want more power, you get the VF blower on there. It's about 9,500 plus install. Huge power, 600 horsepower. Augie Panino says, I noticed that headlights are not covered very often in car reviews. Is this because of the difficulty in filming at night or the lack of standardized metrics? Both. Both. I mean, it's unless something really stands out about the headlights as being amazing or horrible. Mm-hmm. We do most of our driving during the day. We do most of our driving. We do all of our filming during the day. We filmed once at night. It was terrible. Yeah. The video was cool, but and I'm glad we did it once, but the process was awful.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, and granted, like Zach and I are not everybody, but like when we drive at night, we're driving in the city. Like I had a headlight bulb go out in one of my cars once. I didn't notice for 2 weeks. Because it's pretty bright around here.
Bright. A lot of people drive without headlights on there because they don't know how to operate their cars.
So there's people like the everyday driver guys. They're in Park City. It probably gets pretty dark out there, so they might notice something about the headlights more than I would. But yeah, it's tough to standardize, and unless something really stands out about them being amazing or terrible.
And I think we've also reached a stage where most cars, even the normal lights, are pretty damn bright. Like there was, remember the late 90s, early 2000s, when HIDs first came out, when they were in a car, you'd read about it in magazine tests more often, or you'd notice it. Like when I was a valet, I would watch those beams like zzz, and I go, whoa, I can see the alley so well. And now everything's pretty bright. So it's just not as big a deal.
Sure. Ivan Capote says, I mentioned the Spider RS was an overachiever in regards to its low horsepower by supercar standards, and Porsche has mastered that. What other cars have you driven besides Porsches that can go places only cars with vastly more power can? I don't think anybody does this as well as Porsche. No other cars that I've driven do more with less in terms of acceleration versus their actual stated horsepower. I mean, there are some cars that underrate the power.
Right.
BMW and Audi both do. And the resulting, independent testing very often beats the self-claimed testing.
Well, but it also depends on the environment. I mean, we've been on roads where a Miata is as quick as
Sure.
A Cayman GTS because you can't use the power that much. But the Miata is small enough where you can make the lane into a track. You can apex within the lane, and then suddenly you're moving a little bit quicker. Yeah, I mean,
beyond a certain point, your speed is limited by common sense, not the car's performance. There's so many cars that are beyond roads that it's just like how brave or stupid or are you willing to be? In a Toyota 86 on PS4Ss, you can carry. Your cornering speed can be very, very high. I mean, when I had the 86 press car, there was a BMW M2 that could not keep up with me and I'm not trying to brag, I'm not that great, but the cornering speed of that car was ridiculous. I've seen that at all levels, but in terms of cars that accelerate way beyond their stated power levels, I don't think anyone's coming near Porsche for that. Everyone else is like pretty much just as expected, Aaron says, what watch was I wearing in the Icon video? It looked massive even on my wrist. That is true, and I wore that watch intentionally. That was the Vortic, and Vortic turns pocket watches into wrist watches. So it's like 52 millimeter or something, but it's like a pocket watch from the early 1900s, cased in a modern case that's made of titanium with a strap. And so that's an old school pocket watch, and it's a very fun piece made in America. They use American pocket watches, and the company is based entirely in America. And I thought it would be a good thing to stick in the Icon video because that's all American stuff as well. But those things are really cool, and every watch is totally unique. The process is reversible, so if you ever wanted to turn it back into a pocket watch, like for instance, your grandfather left you a watch, you could turn it into a watch with Vortic and keep the case, and it could be reversible down the line. They are huge. There's no
They're
way.
really cool looking.
They're super cool.
Big,
It's not an all the time watch because it's fucking giant.
How many millis is it?
millimeters, 52.
I say millis. The cool people
Yeah,
say
it's
millis.
big
Is
as
it like
fuck.
This? Is it like
Yeah,
the
it is.
bottle?
It's like the bottom of the bottle. It's huge. Yeah, it's a huge. It's a
Bam.
It's a Schwarzenegger-sized watch. So you can't really wear it under long sleeves, but it's a good conversation piece, and I wear it a few times a year. I did a speaking engagement for them, and they let me choose a watch as a thank you, and it's very, very cool. And every time I wear it, I get asked about it, but it's a special occasion piece. No water resistance whatsoever. Can barely
Can't even wear it to Miami.
Barely wash your hands.
It's humid.
Yeah. Two more, and then we're out. All-wheel drive biased says, if your only car was something more enthusiast biased, is the best mod for it getting a daily? Wait, what? Yeah, probably. If so, do you have any good examples from your own lives? I mean, yeah, sure. It's not. When I went to Philadelphia for college, coming from the New York area with my Mustang that me and Larry and our friend Jimmy had built, I had a Steeda level 3 handling package, which was coilovers, and it wasn't slammed, but it was sporting height. Looked great, right? Perfect stance. That car, Philly killed that car in 4 months. And then I sold it and I bought a Mercury Mountaineer, which is a Ford Explorer with better leather, basically. And that was the perfect car for that city. So if you have to drive a sports car or a sporty car every day in a place that's not conducive to it, yeah, the best thing you can do for that car is stop doing that. Yeah. 911 Maniac says, I heard you talking about having to get in your Spider to open or close the top. You can
unlock a thing.
The mod, you can latch and unlatch the car from the key fob without the key in the ignition. Oh, that's a module, the Smart Top module. So it's an aftermarket thing that allows you to latch and unlatch the car without the key in the ignition. Oh, that's cool. Smart Top module. How about that? Soft top roof control for Carrera and Boxster. Oh, well, that's neat. Okay, good tip. I will order that. And the next time my car has to go in for a service, I will get that. That's a good idea. You still have to because you have to put the key in the ignition and then use the button on the center console. So you kind of have to get in the car for that. But you also have to hold the top down for it to latch. But I guess if you were outside the car, you could push down it on the outside and then hit the remote button, and that would do it.
And does it also speed up the drop process, or like when you put the top down?
Going down doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Well, going down, you have to get out. So you have to get out of the car, unhook the two back sections, then release, then open. No, so sorry. The first thing you do is release the electronic thing. Then you get getting out of the car. You start in the car, and then everything else is out of the car.
But it would be so in a scenario where you went to lunch and it was raining, you come back out and it's sunny, then you could theoretically hit the button, unlatch, put it down
without having to get in the car at all.
It's a nice time saver on both sides.
That is. It probably saves 10 to 15 seconds either way, in which case I'm in. That's an important 10 to 15 seconds. More importantly, crawling in and out of the car sucks. So if I can avoid doing that, Smart Top module.
It's cool.
Shout out to him. Thanks very much. Good tip. 441, Zach. Perfect timing. I don't have anything there. That's our show. I hope I made it back from Pebble Beach in one piece, and we'll see you guys next week. Only one show this week. Sorry, but Zach's camping and I was traveling, so it's the best we could do, kids.
Yeah.